And to put into context the special session of Parliament, the first of the 18th Lok Sabha, we have with us Chaksu Roy. He's a legislative and parliamentary expert who has been researching India's parliament and practice. Thank you very much. Mr. Roy, is this session largely, for putting procedures in place, or can we expect the House to start transacting business straight away?
I think the first session of Parliament sets the tone for the succeeding session. So this session is not only going to be about putting procedures in place, but there are two important events that would happen. One, as you rightly mentioned, is the election of the Speaker. So that is the Speaker, as we know, is the custodian of Lok Sabha, and the Speaker is the one who will be conducting the proceedings of the House for the next 5 years. So that is an important election. So you will see that happening on the second day or the third day. And then, even more important, will be the President's address to MPs of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in the new Lok Sabha chamber. Now, the President's address becomes important, especially after a general election, is because in the President's address, the President outlines what is the plan and the policy outlook for the new government for the next year. And the President's address obviously is written up by the government and delivered by the President.
Yes.
And the President's address then sets the tone for the legislative agenda for the upcoming sessions and for the kind of bills that members of Parliament can expect to debate for the rest of the year.
So, Mr. Roy, let's unpack some of what you said. As far as the Speaker's election is concerned, is there, any criteria for candidates to be members who can be selected or elected as the Speaker?
So, actually, two kinds of things would happen. One is already in motion, which is Mr. Bhartrihari Mehtab, 7-time MP from Cuttack in Odisha. The President, Droupadi Murmu, has appointed him as the pro tem Speaker, which means that he will be the first Lok Sabha MP to take oath, and then under his and then when he is presiding over the proceedings of the House, the other members of Parliament will take oath. Now, the criteria for electing the Speaker on paper is quite simple, which is any Lok Sabha member, his or her name can be put in or nominated for election to the Speaker, and then the House and the members of the House decide as to who is it that they want as the Speaker. Now, generally in the past, on many occasions, we have seen that parties across the aisle sit together and agree upon a name of an individual as the Speaker, and then the election is unanimous. Okay. There have been some occasions where the election has been contested, but most of the times the election has been unanimous.
Okay, so what happens then about the Deputy Speaker? Because we haven't had a Deputy Speaker now for 5 years. Is that post also up for election, or is that a decision that the Speaker makes?
So the Deputy Speaker is also a constitutional position, and you've rightly pointed out that it was vacant for the last 5 years. Yes, that post is also up for election. In the past, what we have seen is that the election of the Deputy Speaker takes a little bit of a time. And the reason for that is that political parties have to sit together and decide as to who the Deputy Speaker is going to be. And then, consensus has to be built on that name, and then we can have a Deputy Speaker. The criteria again remains the same. A member of the House, can be the Deputy Speaker. And this is where the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha differ a little bit. The chairman of Rajya Sabha is not a member of the Rajya Sabha. And in the election of the chairman of Rajya Sabha, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members vote. But Lok Sabha Speaker, the presiding officer of Lok Sabha, the custodian of the Parliament House complex, is a member of the Lok Sabha and has to be a member of the Lok Sabha at the time of election.
Right. What is the importance of pre-poll or post-poll alliances, in determining the choice of the leader of the opposition? Because here too, we've not had a leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha for the last 10 years.
Yes. Now, the leader of the opposition is a case wherein you require a minimum number of seats for an opposition party to have their leader appointed as the leader of opposition. And what that position essentially entails is that there is a Leader of Opposition Act, and that allows for certain allowances and privileges associated with that position. But we have had, if not a formal leader of oppositions, we have had leader of oppositions from the single largest party who have acted as a leader of opposition without the designation. But this time, since there is the principal opposition party which has enough number of seats to get that position, that party will then choose one of its members as to that position of the leader of opposition. And we can see that announcement happening, in the next, either in this session or in the upcoming session.
A final question, Mr. Roy. You did talk about the President's address. So put that into context for us. How important is that, since it's the beginning of a new government and also the first session of the 18th Lok Sabha, but also the subsequent discussion? I mean, is there a sufficient time, to discuss the President's address as well?
So you very rightly pointed out that the President's address at the beginning of the term of a Lok Sabha is extremely important. This is the address where the government will outline its vision, not only for the next year, but also, its overarching vision for the next 5 years. This is also then an opportunity for a broader discussion on the functioning of the government, where not only the ruling party members, but opposition members would also lay out what they think how the government has functioned. And in the past that we've noticed that there is a very spirited discussion on the motion of thanks to the President's address. And sometimes the discussion goes beyond the actual speech of what the President said, and it encompasses governance issues that either were not touched upon or which the opposition thinks that it wants to highlight. In this particular case, in this particular President's address, we might also see both ruling party and opposition members highlight some of the recent issues of importance that have come up, whether it comes to railway safety or to the sanctity of public examinations.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Chaksu Roy. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Roy.